Guys, welcome back to 8 Man Fast. I'm Coach Kubik here, head football coach here at Shelby Rising City. And today I want to share the numbers we track outside the weight room and why I think they become one of the most valuable tools that we use to develop our athletes. And now, don't get me wrong, I love the weight room. I love getting strong. Strength matters, and getting stronger really does matter. But football isn't played under a squat rack, and we know that. It's played on the field. If we're asking our athletes to become faster, more explosive, and better football players, then we should be measuring those things too. And so that's kind of what we do. If we're today, so I'm going to walk you through some of those 7 numbers we track throughout the year and why we chose them and how they help motivate our athletes while giving us a better picture of their athletic development and where they're sitting at. I think one of the biggest mistakes coaches are making is only tracking the weight room numbers. So your bench, your squat, your clean, and deadlift. Again, those are all important, but if that's all we're measuring, we're missing a huge part of what makes someone a better football player. Speed, acceleration, change of direction, explosiveness. Again, those things matter every single Friday night, and so that's important. So if they're important enough to help us win games, I think they're important enough to measure, and that's kind of where we came to. So one thing I've learned is that you don't need to measure everything. There are hundreds of different tests you could run. And again, we're always trying new things and we're always trying to test different things just to see how it gives us a better picture. But more data doesn't always mean better coaching. So we've tried to keep our testing simple right now and consistent and easy for those athletes to understand where they sit and how they're chasing them. And if they understand why they're chasing them, they become more likely to buy into that process. And that's what we've seen. So outside of our lifting numbers, again, there are 7 we consistently measure. Again, the first one is 40-yard dash. It's not perfect, but it gives us an overall picture of an athlete's sprint ability and allows us to compare progress over time. Next is that 10-yard sprint. It tells us all about their acceleration and if they need work on that. Football is usually won in those first few steps, so the 10 yards really important for us, not 40 yards downfield. So again, we need to make sure those first few steps are explosive and they can accelerate well. We measure the flying 10 as well. We do the 10-yard buildup throughout the year. We'll do some 30-yard buildups as well with that so they can kind of see a bigger picture of where their sprint velocity is at. This gives us a bigger picture of top-end speed. I think the kids enjoy running these. We do it again. We do a 10-yard buildup. You can do a 30-yard buildup. You can do a 20-yard buildup. However you see fit, just make sure it's consistent. And how fast can an athlete really move once they're already running? This is important. This is important for all sports and especially football. We also track the pro agility. Again, football isn't played in straight lines. We know that. You're going to have to break down, make a tackle. You're going to have to cut and go away from a defender. Again, this is another one that we really like is the pro agility. Athletes have to stop, redirect, and accelerate constantly, and so we move that into our explosive testing. So with our explosive testing now, we also do vertical jump, broad jump, and medicine ball toss. The medicine ball toss is just an overhand toss behind the head. It shows us a lot of different things there. Each one measures power just a little bit differently. So we like all 3 of those together, and then they help paint a better picture for that athlete. So one thing we've started using that our athletes really enjoy is what we call our explosive score. Instead of looking at every test individually, we want one number that reflected both speed and explosiveness. So here's what I take. So we take the medicine ball toss. We times that by 1.5, and I'll explain why we do that later. Vertical jump, broad jump. Then we divide that total by the 40-yard dash, 10-yard sprint, flying 10, and pro agility. And this gives us an overall score. Again, the higher the score, the better. Again, it's not the perfect formula, but I think it gives us a really clear picture of their athletic ability, and there might have really strong athletes that just can't do some of these numbers great, and that's where you can see that we need to work on those things. So again, that's our explosive score. I really like doing it. It gives us a clear picture of those athletes. So, and football players need to be explosive, so they need to be fast. This helps give them a reward for both those things. So, and one thing I always tell our athletes is not every single number is going to define you. The flying 10 is going to tell me a story about you. The vertical tells another, and the pro agility is going to tell me another. So that's how we base everything on how we adjust our program and how we adjust the program throughout the summer. What do we need to work on? What do those athletes need better work on? And every test is going to have its strengths, and we work on all those things. So that's why we look at all of them together. Sometimes an athlete may not even have the fastest flying 10, but they're extremely explosive. Another athlete might be incredibly fast but need to improve their power. Again, this is going to tell us what we need to work on. And the goal isn't finding perfect athletes. The goal is identifying those areas where an athlete can continue improving. And again, I talked about why we take the medicine ball toss times 1.5. We used to take a box jump into account. And just with the account of how many boxes we have, the safety of it all, we decided a medicine ball toss was better. And what I do is I times that by 1.5. Because we found out that we throw a 20-pound medicine ball, and it equals about what they would box jump. And I've tested on a couple kids, and it's about the right amount of what they would box jump. So we used to do that, and so I can continue to have the same numbers and work through that as well. So that's kind of why we do that times 1.5 for the medicine ball toss. Again, they want to know how far they throw it either way, and we tell them that. But again, in the equation, that's what I do, and just kind of see where they're at from there. With that, again, just watch your athletes. All these numbers, again, are going to tell you something that you need to work on in the weight room, out on the track, out on the field, and it'll tell all those things. So this might be my favorite part about the system, though, is that it breeds competition. Everybody's competing against what somebody did yesterday, or everybody's competing against, hey, what'd you get last week? What does the top 10 list look like for our flying 10s? And I do a really good job now of posting our flying 10s, which I haven't done in the past, and I think it's really improved. And this goes for not just the football athletes, but I do it for my high school girls. I do it for the junior high, and they really enjoy that. They really enjoy competing against one another. And I think you're going to see that. So you can do that with anything, any number you track. And again, make sure you track it consistently. And I think that, again, helps improve that competition and builds that confidence for those kids. Again, a confident athlete is usually going to become better competitors. So with this, collecting data isn't the goal. Using it is. Again, we're not just collecting it. I am looking at it over and over again and seeing what we did before the day prior, and seeing how we can change it to try to make those numbers better. And hey, maybe I fatigued them out in a set of squat yesterday. Let's make sure we change that a little bit so they understand that they're improving each week and they're not just plateauing on their jumps and their runs. And what adjustments should we make to that program? So again, they help us become better coaches. They help us become ask different questions of those athletes. I think, again, this is a great tool for that. So if you want to utilize it, whatever number you keep track of, I think it's important. But it's got to be important to your program, and those kids understand why you're keeping it, again. So celebrating growth, again, I'm not perfect at it, but athletes enjoy seeing their growth and getting it published and seeing their numbers grow and improve. And again, you want to post that and make sure Tony Holler talks about it all the time, is rank, record, and publish. I think that's great. And the more I've done that now, the more I can see that the buy-in has improved. At the end of the day, these numbers aren't going to win football games. They're going to help you. They're going to help those athletes become better. But I think at the end of the day, to win football games, it's those people that are in your program. Culture's going to win it, relationships, and hard work. And I think these numbers help support all those things. They don't necessarily do it just all on their own. So this just helps measure that development, and you can help motivate those athletes in your program. Again, I think they help us coach with more purpose, and that's why we have a part of our program. So if you're thinking about adding testing to your program, my advice would be this. Keep it simple, measure things that matter, track them consistently, celebrate improvement, so post them, rank, record, publish, and use those numbers to start conversations, not end them. Because when athletes see themselves getting better, they're usually excited to keep getting better. Again, that's clarity, repetition, and speed. That's 8-Man Fast.